My brother laughed and said, "You'll always be the backup kid." So I backed up, out of the group chat, out of the house, and into a Tesla I bought with his college fund. I always knew I was the backup kid. Not officially, of course. There's no medal for most overlooked son or a trophy for best runner-up in family affection. But I felt it, in the silence at birthday dinners, in the way my parents' eyes glazed over when I talked about my art portfolio, in the Christmas cards addressed to Tyler and family, while I was sitting right there. And Tyler, my older brother, Tyler, 28 male, ate that attention like it was his birthright. Tall, loud, conventionally successful, finance job, country club tan, fiance with a Pinterest-perfect engagement ring. Mom calls him my pride. Dad brags about him to the neighbors like he's a blue-chip stock. I, Ryan, 25 male, am the artist. I make digital concept art for indie video games. Decent money. Not flashy. Definitely not Tyler. My parents don't get it. My mom still introduces me as our younger one. He's into that computer stuff. It's not just the big things. It's death by 1,000 paper cuts. Like when Tyler got a brand new Jeep at 17 to reward his discipline. I got a hand-me-down Corolla with a cracked windshield and dog hair embedded into every seat. When he got into NYU, they threw a backyard bash with custom banners. I got a thumbs up when I got into a full scholarship program for digital arts. And yet I stayed, kept my head down, came home for holidays, smiled politely at the jokes about getting a real job, paid rent when I was broke, just to avoid hearing my mom sigh like my presence was another bill. But last week nuked whatever delusion I had left about this being salvageable. It was Sunday. Family brunch. Dad was flipping eggs. Mom was making those dead-eyed mimosas she only drinks when Tyler's fiance is around. And I was trying to ignore the fact that everyone had matching shirts that said, Team Tyler's Wedding, while I hadn't even been told they were ordering them. I said, half joking, "Guess mine got lost in the mail." Tyler turned to me, smirking with that condescending smirk that made me feel 12 again. "You? Come on, you've always been the backup kid." Everyone laughed. Even my mom giggled, like he was roasting me on a sitcom and not stabbing me straight in the chest. The words didn't hit all at once. They kind of hovered in the air for a moment, like they were giving me a chance to not believe what I heard. But then Tyler chuckled again, looked me dead in the eyes, and said it again. "You know I'm right. You'll always be the backup kid." That's when something snapped. I didn't scream, didn't cry, didn't throw a plate. Even though I thought about it, I just stood up, walked to the sink, washed my hands like I was cleansing myself of whatever toxic residue was still binding me to that house, and said, "Cool." Then I backed out. Of the group chat, of the house, and straight into the Tesla I'd bought last week. The Tesla they didn't know I had. The one I paid for with the college fund that had been quietly collecting dust in a trust under my name. The fund they never told me about because Tyler needed it more for NYU. Yeah, I'll tell you how I got that money, how I used it, and why it was the best decision I've ever made in my entire life. But first, I want to tell you what it felt like, sitting in that driver's seat, watching Tyler run out of the house barefoot, screaming after me, as I peeled out of the driveway blasting "You Should See Me in a Crown" at full volume. I didn't drive far at first, just enough to make a point. A long enough stretch for Tyler to give up jogging behind the Tesla like some deranged golden retriever in boat shoes. I saw him in the rear view, face red, arms flailing, yelling something I couldn't hear over the music. I didn't care. The only sound I wanted was that whisper-quiet hum as I glided away from everything I used to beg for scraps from. I pulled into the overlook just past the county line, parked, sat there, let the silence settle in my chest. You know how people say revenge doesn't feel as good as you think it will? They're lying. Or they've never been the family's afterthought for 2 decades and finally done something about it. Let me back up and explain how the Tesla happened. When I was 15, I overheard a conversation I wasn't supposed to. Dad and Mom in the kitchen, talking in low tones about Tyler's future. How college was going to be expensive, but we'll just dip into the trust fund if we have to. Ryan doesn't need it. He'll probably go to art school or something. That trust? It was a college fund my grandfather set up for me, for both of us technically. Equal shares divided at 18. Except nobody ever told me I had one. Tyler had full access when he got into NYU. I got $0 and a pat on the head for choosing a less traditional path. So I did what any overlooked tech-savvy kid with a chip on his shoulder would do. I started asking questions. Quietly, researched the fund, waited until I was old enough, checked the papers my dad always left half-read on the dining table, discovered that while most of the fund had gone to Tyler's 4-year tuition, about $62,000 was still sitting in my name. That money should have been used for my education. It wasn't. So I let it sit there while I worked and saved, hustling freelance gigs, living lean. Then last month, I liquidated it, bought the Tesla in cash. White, Model 3, sleek, quiet, fast. The exact opposite of Tyler's obnoxious lifted truck that sounds like it's announcing the second coming every time he starts it. And yeah, I kept it secret. Parked it in my friend Wes's garage until I was ready. Drove my usual beat-up Camry to family functions like the good little disappointment they expected. Let them believe I was struggling. Let them laugh. Until brunch. Until Tyler dropped the final insult, thinking it was funny. Thinking I'd just sit there and take it like I always did. I sat in that Tesla for a good hour before my phone started blowing up. First was Mom. "Ryan, come back. Don't be dramatic. It was a joke." Then Dad. "We need to talk about this stunt. This is your brother's wedding week. Grow up." Then, finally, Tyler. "Did you steal my college fund, you psycho?" That one made me laugh. Like full body laugh. I didn't even respond. I just screenshotted it. For later. See, I wasn't done. This wasn't just about leaving. This was about making them feel it. The same way I had for years. They wanted a backup kid? Fine. Let's see what happens when the backup pulls the plug on the whole damn system. By Monday, the group chat had devolved into chaos. I hadn't said a word since leaving brunch. Just silence. No replies, no explanations. And it was driving them absolutely insane. Tyler added me back to the chat 3 times. I left each time without comment. That little "Ryan left the group" notification hit like a grenade every single time. Finally, Dad renamed the chat Family Emergency, like that would magically guilt me into participating. Then came the calls. Voicemails stacked like guilt bricks. "You need to apologize to your brother. This is not how adults handle conflict. Ryan, you don't just take something like that. That money was for family needs. You're hurting your mother." Not one call asking if I was okay. Tyler, meanwhile, went scorched earth. Started posting vague jabs on Instagram. Black background, white text, classic drama font. Jealousy is loud, loyalty is silent. Some people mistake silence for weakness. Blood doesn't make you family. He even posted a picture of him and my dad, arm in arm at a golf course, captioned, "Real men support each other." The likes rolled in. The comments were full of mutuals saying things like, "You've always been the rock of your family," and "You don't need that negativity, King." And there it was, his favorite pastime, turning himself into the victim of a story he wrote. But I wasn't playing the role anymore. What none of them realized yet was that I had receipts. Literal, financial, digital receipts. Screenshots from the trust account, paperwork naming me as co-beneficiary. Emails from the administrator confirming I had every legal right to what was left. Hell, even a PDF from Granddad's original will. Tyler wasn't the sole heir. He just acted like he was. And now, I had something better than proof. I had peace. That night, I sat in the Tesla at a charging station, watching the battery tick upward, phone in my lap buzzing with rage and desperation. And I just didn't care. Not until the message from Mom hit, "You've embarrassed this family. Don't show your face at the wedding." That one hit different. Not because I wanted to go. I didn't. I'd already RSVP'd no in my head years ago, but because it was confirmation, written, undeniable proof that I wasn't family unless I played by their rules. That message? I printed it out, put it in a little frame next to my desk. A reminder. Not of pain, of clarity. They made it simple. I wasn't part of them, so I stopped acting like I was. And that's when I knew what I had to do next. It wasn't enough to walk away. I needed to pull the curtain back. Because if Tyler thought being humiliated at brunch was bad, he was about to learn what it felt like to be exposed in front of everyone who ever believed his golden boy act. Revenge wasn't just coming. It was going to be public. The rehearsal dinner was at this overpriced vineyard Tyler picked because the lighting's better for photos, not because it meant anything to the couple. God forbid. No, it just looked expensive and came with those fairy lights he said would make everything look timeless. I wasn't invited. Didn't matter. Wes was. Wes, my best friend since high school, the same guy who helped me park the Tesla in his garage the night I bought it, had gotten a pity invite because he used to tutor Tyler and Trig. Yeah, seriously. That's how far back the ass-kissing went. Wes called me that morning. "Hey," he said. "So you sure you don't want to go in? I'll be there." Would be poetic. "Nah," I said. "But I do need a favor." Here's the thing about Tyler. He documents everything. Every speech, every toast, every fake smile. He thinks he's the main character of life and the rest of us are background props. I knew exactly what the vibe would be. Him glowing under chandeliers, Mom wiping tears like she's at a royal coronation, Dad pretending he was the one who paid for everything. So I gave Wes a folder. Inside were 3 things. A printed, notarized copy of the trust paperwork with my name circled. A timeline of when the fund was accessed, with Tyler's withdrawals marked in red and mine marked, well, not marked, because I hadn't touched it until now. A single photo. Tyler, age 19, holding a beer at his dorm party. Why does that matter? Because that photo was taken the week he told our parents he needed extra trust money for textbooks. Wes's job was simple. Wait until the toasts. Wait until the part where Tyler inevitably made it about his journey. about how he'd worked so hard and earned everything. And then passed the folder to his fiancée. Apparently, it happened just after the third round of champagne. Tyler was going on about responsibility, hard work, sacrifice, yada yada golden boy monologue, and Wes slid the folder across the table like it was dessert. Fiancé flipped through it once. Didn't say a word, just got up and left the table. Right in the middle of his speech, Wes said you could hear Tyler's voice crack from across the tent. Mom tried to follow the fiancé. Dad was frozen mid-toast. Everyone else just stared while Tyler kept asking, "What's going on? What the hell is this?" And the best part? Wes never even said it was from me. He didn't need to. By the time the event ended, half the guests were buzzing. A few even cornered Tyler asking if it was true, if he'd really drained a shared trust, if his younger brother really got iced out for years while he played victim in custom-tailored suits. Tyler left early, alone. The next morning, I woke up to a text. "I hope you're happy, you ruined everything." For what? A car? You're still nothing without me. No apology, no ownership, just a tantrum dressed as a guilt trip. But guess what? I didn't feel guilty. For the first time in my life, I felt seen. And yeah, maybe I didn't have a wedding or a vineyard or a crowd of bootlickers raising glasses in my name, but I had something better. I had the truth. Update 1. So, y'all really showed up, huh? When I posted the first part of this story, I figured a few people might relate. Maybe a dozen upvotes. A couple, "Wow, your brother sucks" comments. I did not expect thousands of you to DM me calling Tyler Golden Retriever Gaslighter and asking for Tesla selfies. No, I won't post them. Yet. And while I appreciate the outpouring of support, I need to address the one thing everyone keeps asking. Did his fiancée leave him? Short answer. Not yet. Long answer? She messaged me. Swear to God, 2 days after the rehearsal dinner imploded, I get this DM, "Hey Ryan, I'm not sure what to say. I think I owe you an apology, a real one, and a thank you." Apparently, she hadn't known any of it. Not the trust, not the favoritism, not even the fact that Tyler once demanded I hand over a $2,000 art scholarship because it wasn't going to matter for a backup kid. She told me that after the dinner, she sat in her car and cried. Not because I ruined anything, but because she realized she'd been about to marry a man who genuinely believed he was entitled to everything, who never once considered that what he took might have cost someone else something real. She said, and I quote, "I thought he was just a little arrogant. I didn't realize he was a narcissist wrapped in a varsity jacket." Y'all? I cackled. I wheezed. I damn near dropped my phone. Anyway, she's taking time to think before the wedding, which is in 4 days, mind you. Apparently, Tyler's been calling her non-stop, accusing her of letting my lies poison her mind. Cool. But you know what hit hardest? The last thing she said. "You deserved better, and I hope I wasn't just one more person who made you feel like an afterthought." That got me, more than I expected. Because yeah, I was the afterthought. For years, I was the ghost at my own family table, the placeholder, the plan B. And even when I drove away from that house, I didn't know if I'd ever get clarity from anyone who mattered. Now? I don't know. Maybe she's sincere. Maybe she's not. But that message? It felt like something cracked open. Like the echo chamber I'd lived in my whole damn life, where Tyler's voice was law and mine didn't count, finally let in some light. Anyway, I've got more. Oh, I've definitely got more. The best part's still coming. Because while Tyler was busy rage posting Bible verses and fake deep quotes on Facebook, I was already en route to his wedding venue with a special gift. One last thing, to the person who commented, "Bet he used the trust fund to engrave backup kid on the license plate. You win." That is exactly what I did. BCKUPKD. I pulled up to the venue 3 hours before the ceremony, early enough that the staff were still dragging white chairs across the lawn and trying not to sweat through their polos. It was one of those pretentious places that calls itself an estate, even though it's basically a barn with champagne. And parked right in front, glinting under the July sun, was the Tesla. Clean, polished, and unmistakably mine, with BKUPKD gleaming on the license plate like a middle finger dipped in chrome. The valet kid tried to wave me toward the staff lot. I just smiled, popped the frunk, and said, "I've got a delivery for the groom." Because here's the thing. I didn't come to crash the wedding. I wasn't going to scream during vows or dump pig's blood from the rafters. That's not my style. But I did have a gift. Wrapped it myself. Matte black box. Minimalist bow. Inside was a printout, glossy, heavy cardstock, of the very first backup kid comment Tyler ever texted me. It wasn't from brunch. It was from 2 years ago. I'd asked him to pass along my portfolio to a recruiter friend of his. His exact words, "Lowell, come on, bro. Let's be real. You're not what they're looking for. You're like the family's backup kid. Just be chill." I never forgot it. And now it was framed, literally, along with a note in my handwriting. "I'm chill. I'm gone. Enjoy your spotlight." Wes met me at the edge of the tent, pale and twitchy. "He's spiraling," he whispered. Locked himself in the groom suite. Been pacing, muttering. Keeps asking if there's gonna be a scene. I snorted. This is the scene. Wes slipped the box into the gift pile by the cake table, right next to a KitchenAid mixer and a wrapped box that probably contained crystal wine glasses they'd never use. I didn't stay. Didn't want to see his face, didn't care to. Instead, I drove back into the city. Windows down, a sea blasting, music loud, and about halfway home, my phone buzzed. From Mom. You are sick? He hasn't stopped crying? What kind of brother sabotages the happiest day of someone's life? Then Dad. Grow up. This is unforgivable. And finally, Tyler. You want a war? You got it. Don't think you're safe just because you're driving Dad's money. That one made me laugh. Because that Tesla was now in my name, fully paid, title transferred, insurance updated, every I dotted. They couldn't take anything back, couldn't spin the story anymore, couldn't pretend I was just being dramatic or having a moment. I was out. But Tyler? Oh, Tyler was unraveling, and I hadn't even touched the final thread yet. Because the next part, that involves a speech, one Tyler didn't know I'd written. A speech someone else was about to read, in front of everyone. Ready? The speech wasn't meant to be mine. Originally, it was going to be my dad's. A classic, we're so proud of our son routine delivered in that forced, self-important tone he used anytime he needed people to forget that Tyler had failed out of his first year and needed 2 summers to catch up. But something changed the week before the wedding. See, my cousin Natalie, 29, sharp-tongued, black sheep energy like me, was supposed to do a short reading during the reception, one of those sweet cousin bonding things. They gave her a 2-minute slot and told her to keep it light. What they didn't know was that Natalie had been watching the family play favorites her whole life too. She saw the way Tyler got praised for existing while I was told I lacked initiative for working 2 jobs in high school, and she'd had enough. So the day after I dropped the framed backup kid message off at the venue, Natalie texted me, "Still got that speech you wrote when you thought they might actually let you talk at the wedding? Send it." I paused. That draft was raw, honest. The kind of thing you write at 2 a.m. when you think maybe, just maybe, they'll finally listen if you get the words right. You sure? I texted. They wanted a show, let's give them one. So she read it, right after the first dance, right when everyone was drunk enough to be sentimental, but still sober enough to listen. She stood up, tapped her glass and said, "I want to share a few words from someone who won't be speaking today. Someone who should have been part of this, but wasn't." There was a weird ripple through the crowd. Confused laughter, a couple of glances toward Tyler. I heard later that Mom's smile froze like a glitching video loop. Then Natalie began. "To my brother, you once told me I'd always be the backup kid, that I was filler, optional, a family afterthought with a Wi-Fi password. You were wrong. I wasn't backup. I was invisible. Until now." She read every line about the scholarships I was told I didn't deserve, the birthdays skipped, the years of watching my parents beam over Tyler's C- report cards while calling my A's easy classes. People were silent. Phones came out. Wes told me later that one of the groomsmen mouthed, "Holy shti," halfway through. And Tyler stormed out. Didn't even make it to the second paragraph. Left his own reception. The DJ tried to recover by queuing up a love song, but nobody danced. People started whispering. The bride, well, almost bride, followed him out but came back 10 minutes later alone. And Natalie? She ended it with this. "He left, just like he always does when someone refuses to orbit him. So let this stand as a record. Some of us weren't born with a spotlight, but we're done being shadows." The applause was hesitant. Then it grew. Then it roared. And in that moment, I knew. The war Tyler promised, he already lost. He lost the second people started seeing the truth. And the final nail? That's coming soon. Because there's still one more update, and it involves a box of photographs, a social media meltdown, and the one person Tyler never expected to turn on him. Update 2. South. It's over. The wedding never happened. After Natalie read that speech and Tyler stormed out, everything unraveled fast. The bride, who, for the record, has a name, Jasmine, didn't just take time to think, she called it. The next morning, she posted a photo of the vineyard. No guests, no decorations, just rows of empty chairs under an overcast sky. Caption, "Some vows aren't worth saying." And then she went nuclear. 3 Instagram stories detailing Tyler's lies, the trust fund, the manipulation, the months she spent thinking he was generous and grounded, only to find out he was a man-child in a varsity jacket still trying to win high school. She tagged him. She tagged his parents. She tagged the fuxing venue. It was beautiful. Tyler deleted his account within an hour. But here's the part you won't believe. Last night, around 10 p.m., he showed up at my door. No warning, no text. Just standing there in the rain like a bad CW drama. Hoodie soaked, face puffy, eyes wild. "You happy now?" he said. "You destroyed my life." And for once, I didn't flinch. I didn't feel small. Didn't look down. Didn't apologize or second guess or wonder if I went too far. I just looked him in the eye and said, "Number, you destroyed it. I just stopped helping you hide the wreckage." He started crying, like full-on sobbing, shoulders shaking, trying to catch his breath. And I'll be honest, there was a flicker, a moment where my old instincts kicked in, the urge to comfort him, to be the peacekeeper, to clean up his mess like I had 1,000 times before. But I didn't move. He collapsed onto the porch bench, hands over his face, and just sat there. Eventually, he asked, "Do you really think I'm the bad guy?" And I said, "No, I think you're the only one who ever believed you were the hero." We didn't talk much after that. I let him sit there, let the weight settle on him. After about 20 minutes, he stood up. "I've got nowhere to go," he mumbled. I didn't offer a place, didn't offer a bed, didn't offer forgiveness, just watched him walk back into the rain. And this time, I didn't feel like the backup. I felt like the main character. Thanks for sticking with me, Reddit. For every DM, every comment, every person who said, "Burn it all down," and actually meant it, you helped me find my voice. It's not revenge, it's release. And for the first time in my life, I'm finally free. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was anxious, not anymore. It was this weird, unfamiliar kind of stillness. Like my body was finally catching up to the truth my brain had been whispering for months. You're not his mirror anymore. I used to think I needed closure, some tearful apology, a family reckoning where they all lined up and admitted what they did. Mom clutches pearls, dad chokes on guilt. Tyler says the words, "I'm sorry," without turning them into a performance. But none of that came. And yet, I felt okay. Better than okay. Free. Still, something gnawed at me. A loose thread. The photos. There's this box I'd kept hidden in the back of my closet for years. Real prints. Not digital. Snapshots from childhood, school plays, soccer games. The kind of stuff that clings to memory even when the people in the frame pretend you don't matter. At 2 a.m., I pulled it down. There were dozens, maybe hundreds, some yellowed with time, others still sharp, all curated by my mom during the scrapbooking years. Back before she realized Tyler's trophies made better conversation than my art shows. I flipped through them slowly, each one a small betrayal. Tyler blowing out candles while I stood in the corner with a paper plate. Tyler in his football jersey, front and center, while I was half cropped out of the frame, blurry. It was all there, cataloged. Years of erasure dressed up as memory. But then I found one. One photo that stopped me cold. It was me, just me, 7 years old, paint on my hands, holding up a cardboard castle I'd made in art class. I'd forgotten that thing ever existed. In the picture, I'm beaming, full smile, missing teeth, eyes lit up like I thought the world might actually give a damn. And beside me, Tyler, arms crossed, looking away. That photo, it cracked something. Because in that moment I remembered I wasn't always in the background. I didn't start as the backup kid. They just chose to see me that way. And I let them. So I took that photo, scanned it, and posted it to my socials with the caption, "He looked away." I didn't. Nothing else. No tags, no shade. Just the truth. The reaction? Wild. Old classmates messaged me. "Bro, I always wondered why they treated you like that." Strangers DM'd things like, "You inspired me to cut off my own family." Even Jasmine, yes, the Jasmine, commented, just one word, "Beautiful." And Tyler? I got an alert that he'd created a new account. Username, @TheRealTylerS. His bio? "We all make mistakes. Learning and growing. Pathetic." He posted a blurry selfie in a hoodie. Eyes red. Captioned, "It's been a hard week. I'm reflecting. Please be kind." The comments? Brutal. Maybe reflect on why your brother had to go full Batman to get peace. He's the main character now, bro. Backup kid drove off with your legacy and your fiancé. He deleted the post within 2 hours. You ever watch someone unravel in real time? It's sad, but not tragic, because Tyler isn't a victim. He's just finally visible without all the golden light. And when the world sees him as he is, he disappears. It's been 4 weeks. 4 weeks since the wedding that wasn't. Since the speech, the meltdown, the photo. Since Tyler's whole golden boy illusion cracked and spilled out for the world to see like rotten yolk from a perfectly polished shell. I thought I'd feel triumphant. I didn't. I felt calm. Like a storm passed through me. Tore the roof off, rearranged everything inside, and now I could finally breathe the air for what it was. No more holding my breath to fit inside their narrative. No more waiting for a version of love they were never going to offer. But there was still one more thing I had to do. Closure. Not for them. For me. So I went back. Not to the house. I wasn't stepping foot in that denial museum again. I went to Granddad's grave. The one person in my family who saw me. Not as a project, not as a punchline, but as a person. He was the one who set up the trust. The one who told me once when I was 10 and scared to show my sketchbook, "Don't ever let loud people make you feel quiet." I sat beside his headstone, dug my hands into the grass and talked. Told him everything about the Tesla, the trust, the brunch, the license plate, the speech. The rain. About the years I spent trying to earn my place from people who wouldn't have given it to me even if I bled for it. And then I told him what I was going to do next. Because I've got plans. Big ones. Not revenge, not even justice. Just life. I'm moving. Jasmine actually reached out again. Not romantically, don't worry. And said her cousin's starting a non-profit that needs a creative lead. They help underprivileged kids get access to arts education. It's remote. Good pay. Real purpose. I said yes. And the Tesla? I'm driving it cross-country. Taking my time. Seeing the places I always said I'd visit when things settle. They're settled now. Settled because I stopped waiting for peace and decided to build it myself. Before I left, I mailed one last thing to my parents. No letter, no explanation. Just a photocopy of that art class picture. Me, age 7, paint on my fingers, joy on my face, and a sticky note across the bottom. You missed it. I don't expect a reply, and I don't need one. Because here's the truth. Sometimes you don't get the apology. You don't get the closure or the reckoning or the cinematic come-to-Jesus moment. Sometimes the win is just walking away before you rot in place. I wasn't the backup. I was the escape plan. And now I'm driving full speed into a life that's finally mine. No rear view, just road.